There's a moment after a conversation ends. Not dramatic, nothing obvious, you're alone again. And something feels heavier than before, not sadness, not anger, just a quiet pull downward like the air has been thinned. Your body slows before your thoughts do, your shoulders drop, your breath changes, you replay nothing specific, no argument, no mistake. It was a normal conversation, ordinary words, casual tone, and yet there's a strange emptiness as if something was taken without asking. You might not notice it right away. It shows up later, in the silence, in the drive home, in the way your phone stays face down longer than usual. You wonder why talking feels harder than it should, why being around people feels like work, but that's not the part most people notice. What stands out is the confusion, the mismatch. Nothing bad happened. So why does your chest feel tight? You start scanning for reasons. Maybe you're tired, maybe you're overthinking. You tell yourself it shouldn't feel this way, but the feeling stays. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't explain itself. And it happens again after another conversation, another exchange that looked fine from the outside. That's where it starts to feel isolating, because if you try to describe it, the words don't land. You sound sensitive, vague. So you stop trying. You begin adjusting instead. You speak less, you listen more, you nod at the right moments, you smile when it's expected, and something in you keeps track, not consciously, quietly. You notice the shift in the room before it's spoken, the hesitation in someone's voice, the pressure behind their laugh. You feel the unspoken part of what they're saying, the part they don't intend to share. But that's not the part most people notice either. What they see is that you're present, attentive, easy to talk to. They don't see what it costs. Afterward, your mind feels crowded, not with your own thoughts, with theirs. Their worries linger. Their moods echo. You carry fragments that don't belong to you. It's subtle, but cumulative. One conversation doesn't do it, 10 do, and the weight builds slowly enough that you question yourself. Why can others talk all day and feel fine? Why do you need quiet, like a physical requirement? You might start wondering if something is wrong with you. But that question never quite fits, because it doesn't feel like weakness. It feels like exposure, like standing too close to a speaker. Not loud enough to hurt, just loud enough to tire you out. You begin to crave space, not distance from people, from noise, emotional noise. But that phrase doesn't quite capture it. It's more like your internal volume knob gets turned up without your consent. Every feeling in the room passes through you first, before logic, before words. And you don't block it. You absorb it without realizing that you are. That's the part that goes unnoticed. You think you're just being polite, just listening, just being there. But something quieter is happening underneath. You're not just hearing words, you're tracking shifts. Regulating energy. You sense when someone needs reassurance before they ask. You soften your tone automatically. You make room, and making room takes space, your space. But that still doesn't explain the exhaustion, not fully, because you're not doing anything extreme. You're not solving their problems. You're not giving advice. You're just present. So why does presence feel like depletion? That question hangs longer than it should. And most people never ask it. They assume conversation is neutral, equal exchange, words in, words out. But for some people, it doesn't work that way. There's an internal adjustment that happens before you even respond. A small calibration. You align with the other person. You meet them where they are. Not intentionally, instinctively, you shift your inner state to match theirs. That's where it starts to change, because when you do that often enough, you forget where you began. Your baseline gets lost. You leave conversations not knowing what you feel, only that you feel too much. And the tiredness isn't physical. It's a thinning, as if your internal boundaries have been gently worn down. No single moment caused it, just repetition. And this is usually where people offer explanations that don't quite fit. They talk about introversion, about social anxiety. But those explanations skim the surface. They miss something more specific, something quieter. You're not drained by people. You're drained by what happens inside you around people. But even that isn't the full picture, because it's not just sensitivity. It's attunement. You notice what others overlook. You feel what others bypass. and you do it automatically. There's no off switch. You don't decide to take things in, you just do, and your system processes it deeply. Too deeply for small talk to stay small. By the time a conversation ends, you've already done a kind of emotional labor without naming it. You've stabilized the space, you've held tone, you've absorbed tension, and no one thanks you, not because they're ungrateful, but because they never saw it happening. And neither did you. That's the part most people miss. You're tired, but you can't point to a task. You're heavy, but nothing dramatic occurred. So you doubt the feeling. You tell yourself to push through, to be normal. But something in you resists. It pulls you back toward solitude, toward quiet, not as avoidance, as recovery. And here's the realization that usually arrives slowly. You weren't just listening. You were adjusting your nervous system to accommodate someone else's. You were co-regulating without knowing you had agreed to it. Your body was reading signals faster than your mind. Your emotions were syncing before words landed. And every time you do that, it costs something. Not because it's bad, but because it's intimate, even when the conversation isn't. You don't just hear tone. You take it in. You don't just notice mood. You internalize it. And when you walk away, you're left carrying more than you brought. That's the quiet truth underneath the tiredness. It's not that conversations are draining. It's that your internal boundaries are porous, not broken, just open. You feel through others instead of beside them. And most environments aren't designed for that. They move fast. They expect resilience. They don't pause for internal processing. So you adapt, you stay composed, you stay kind. And inside, something stretches thin. This isn't something you learned, it's something you've always done. Long before you had language for it, you noticed shifts early. You learned to respond to them. It kept things smooth, safe. But it also taught your system that connection requires self-adjustment, and that pattern stayed. So now, even ordinary conversations ask something of you, not effort. Alignment, and alignment uses energy most people don't realize exists. Once you see that, the confusion softens. Not the tiredness, just the self-doubt around it. You stop asking why you can't keep up. You understand that you're doing more than keeping up. You're carrying weight others don't feel. And that awareness doesn't fix it. It just names it. You may still need quiet afterward, still feel the pull towards solitude. But it no longer feels like a flaw, just a rhythm. A system that processes deeply and needs space to reset. Toward the end of the day, you might notice your body again. How it responds to silence. How it settles when nothing is asked of it. That's not withdrawal, it's return. And maybe that's enough for now. Not answers. Not solutions, just the understanding that nothing was wrong with you after those conversations. Something real was happening, quietly.